everybody, how is it going? And welcome to another episode of Amps in the XFX3. I'm going to be your host, Lucas, and today we are going to be checking out one of the legendary amps of all time, the JCM 800. And make sure you smash that subscribe button because we are going to be going through all of the amps in the XFX3. So let's take a look at this legendary amp. The JCM 800 was used by basically every rock and metal band in the 80s, and that's exactly how the amps are actually named. So JCM is James Marshall's initials, and 800 is the decade that they were made in. So you have the JCM 800, 900, and then 2000, made in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So let's look at the amps we're going to be looking at today. The amp you heard in the opening, that little Guns N' Roses riff, that was the JCM number 34. I'll explain what that means a little later on. We're going to be looking at the JCM 800 50 watt 2204, and we're going to be looking at the JCM 800 mod. So in the actual XFX, the JCM 800 is called the Brit 800, just so you know. And let's actually take a little look at these amps to get a little bit more detail about them. So, like I said before, they were used by pretty much every metal band in the 80s. The model 2203 is the 100 watt, and the 2204 is the 50 watt. In the XFX itself, the 2204, that's the one that we have. The only really true 100 watt 2204 we have is the Appetite for Destruction / amp. That one's based off of the 100, and make sure you stay tuned because that one's going to be the next one up that we're going to be looking at. We don't really have a true 100, but that's the closest that we come to in the actual XFX. So if we're going down and we're looking at the amp, it used some EL34 tubes, which a ton of Marshalls used, and the original JCM 800 still kind of has that plexi feel to it, and we're going to see like the 34 and the mod kind of push things more toward the modern realm of things. The original 800, it's a single channel amp, and it's very harsh, it's very bright. And in the 34 and in the mod, they did things to kind of clip it and to, well, some of them boosted, another one it kind of clipped it a little bit. And the way that they're made is, the 800s are sort of like the plexis, to where they're made to be pushed really hard. So if you have them at low volumes, you're pretty much just hearing the preamp. But if you push the crap out of them, that power amp distortion kicks in and it kind of smooths out the brightness and it makes it a little less harsh. And that's what I did for my patches. I pushed the master up pretty high, and then I put the input gain to taste. I didn't want to put it too high, because if you put it too high, it gets kind of out of control. I had it the other way. I had it to where I had the master down and I had the input up, and I messed with it and changed it, and I finally settled on the sound with the master volume up. Let's read a little bit more about it. You also did have the Jose Ardindo mod. He modded some, and he even modeled Eddie Van Halen Super Lead that he had to it. So let's look at the amps themselves. Let's look at what I did to them. So as I explained before, master up, input down. For the IRs for all of these, I'm using the ML Mars hair metal pack, and what that actually is it's based off of the Marshall 2551 B412 guitar cab from 1987 with the G12T75 speakers in it. Everyone uses cabs. Slash has one, Inve has one, The Cure has one. You actually get those IR packs, mixes in the pack itself. I just kind of want to show that to you, just to kind of let you know what pack we were using. And I used the 57 and the 421. D, you get A, B, C, D, and E. It's like the brightness levels of it. And I picked D. I find they sound better if you match them on the same level. They kind of come alive in sound. And one thing that I used in here, which I kind of forgot about, was this, where is it? You come to cab and you come to more, the proximity and the smoothing are so very important in here. Because the proximity is the proximity of like the mic to the cab. It kind of gives you that effect. And if you put it up a little bit, it gives you a little bit more low end. And the smoothing, it sort of matches the phase of like what the cab has going on. It matches like the phase of it, and it works so well. I find if you have the smoothing at like 0, it sounds like really harsh and super raw, and as you turn it up, it sounds better. So watch. I'm gonna use the 57, and I'm gonna put this at 0. I'll leave the proximity up, because like I said, actually, you know, watch, I'll take this down, I'll put it back. This is with these parameters at absolute 0. Alright, and let's put the proximity about right there. As you hear, more low end. And let's put the smoothing up. If you move the smoothing while you actually have sound, it sounds kind of weird, like it skips. And this is with the smoothing up. See the difference that makes? It sounds so much better when you jack the smoothing up. One of the new secret tricks that I discovered in the XFX3. It sounds really fantastic. Preamp, I just have the high quality, the preamps on high quality. I didn't screw with anything else, and that's the IRs, they match up perfectly. Okay, back from IR land. Talked about that. You have to be careful with the brightness on here. I pushed it hard, I dialed it back, I kind of settled in it right there. Nothing, messed with nothing in ideal, nothing in preamp, nothing in power amp, nothing in the power settings. Did not mess with nothing in the speaker impedance curve. This is a Brit 800 412. It's exactly the caliber we're using. Nothing in speaker drive, nothing in input. Yes to output. I chopped a little bit of the brightness over here. I fought with this so much. Like okay, so this amp has a ton of mids, and the IRs that I'm using kind of already scooped. So I pulled some more mids out of it. And I fought with the low end a lot, like putting in the bass and then taking out the 125, because Marshalls just have this weird way of like spiking and those low mids that can sound really nasty. Let's see which IRs I have heard. Okay, I have both of those on right now. So I'm gonna let you hear what it sounds like with the EQ on and off. This is without. As you can hear, I just tried to tame it and then make it sound less ferocious, because it is a very ferocious sounding amp. Moving on to the number 34. Let me explain what I did, and then I'll go into some kind of lore that I may need you kind of correct me on. So inputs down. I did push the master on here because I found that sounded better. I had the treble at 5, but I dialed it back because I found it sounded kind of wild. Using the same IRs as on the normal 800. I didn't touch anything in there just to save time. Let's go to the output EQ. Same thing again. I jacked up the bass because I wanted a nice, good low-fat low end. And once again, I fought with this so much. So don't be afraid, you know, to pull knobs. And you see, I took some 2K out of here and I tamed it a little bit up here. Don't be afraid to jog the EQ. Just, if your ears get tired, take a break. That is a secret. Okay, this is going to be with and without the EQ on the 34. And it is a little scoop sounding. I probably could push a little bit of mids back in, but that is to taste. So the number 34, what that signifies is it has some Santiago mods on it. That's what the number 34 means. But I'm going to explain what the number 34s mean. Basically, the number, like there's number 34, 36, and 39. They're basically modifications that were done to it. And Cliff says that the number 34 sounds more like Slash than his actual Appetite for Destruction amp does, because the number 34 has an insane amount of brightness in it, and there's an actual number 34 mode. It's the first one, the AFD number 1. That's what we're going to be checking on next on Amps and the XFX, so make sure you sub for that. And Cliff says that they actually kind of toned down the brightness a little bit in it because they didn't want people to complain about their guitars and stuff squealing. So I actually found this on the Marshall forum, and there's actually a it's called slashworld.com, and it tracks down the story of the amps that he actually used on Appetite for Destruction, because there's a number 34 mode in his signature amp, but he actually used number 39, I believe, for most of Appetite for Destruction. It gets kind of confusing, so if you know like the untold story and you can kind of summarize it, tell me in the comments down below. I'm going to try and get to as close as I can. All of these amps came from Sir, which is a studio instrument rentals company. It's a place a lot of the guys in the 80s rented their stuff from in LA. So number 34 was a Frank Levy modded early JCM 800 2203. Apparently Slash still has this for Use Your Illusions. That's the one he used it on for that one. The modification didn't have any extra preamp gain, but it had rather preamp voicing changes. And the thing is a lot of people say that Slash never really got back that tone he got on AFD. He kind of kept searching for it, but he never really got close to it because he kind of kept using different amps. Number 36 was a 70s Soup 1959 Super Lead, and this is the amp Slash used to record AFD. It was the number 36. It had an extra preamp gain stage and master volume, among other things. And Mr. Mini Mite's best guess is that it was a 74 and it featured 65 power tubes. Number 39 was a Tim Caswell modded early 70s Super Tremolo 1957T, extra preamp gain stage and a master volume. Sort of seen a pattern here. This was a legendary one that was popular with everyone from Sir, and it predates the 36 and the 34. So as you can see, it's a deep rabbit hole, and I kind of wanted to just cover that with you righty quick, just to kind of go over some things. And I really like the 34. It sounds really good when you push it very hard. So let's go on to the modded JCM 800, and for this one, it has a lot of the custom mods that were popular at the time, common mods. Removing the treble peak, more gain, sound heavier. The modded one, I find, to me, that's when you're starting to get more toward the modern gain type of territory with the JCM. It has a lot of balls to it. I didn't push this one super hard on the master because it has tons of gain. So I just kind of left it like that. These are my settings. I didn't really go too hard with the brightness. I didn't touch anything in here. Speaker is the same. The impedance is the same on all of them. And of course, I have my little V going on here. Not as much bass as I had on some of the other ones. It's amazing how they're technically all the same amp, but they're done differently. So I EQ'd them differently. I didn't chop anything down right here. Let me let you hear what this sounds like with the EQ on and off. I find this one, I didn't have to EQ as much, and it sounds the best with the EQ off, I guess, as you can say. I really like the modded JCM. It's tight, and oh, I forgot to mention this. For the IR on here, I am using the Slash or Guns N' Roses one, and I find because it sounded the best with the modded JCM. I find that when you use the jungle mix with the number 34, I didn't like it as much. If you're trying to truly chase that Slash tone, you have options. You can do, whatever you want when it comes to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap things up for the JCM 800s. Now look, if I got any of that lore wrong, if I missed anything on the number 34, let me know in the comments down below. I also want to hear from you guys. Let me know your JCM tips and tricks. Do you use it in your patches? I'm sure this is some of you guys' favorite amp in there. This amp is so great. There's so many different things that came from it, the modded. It's so great. And then we're actually going to be looking at Slash's amp next week. So guys, let me know your tips and tricks about the JCM 800. Let me know in the comments down below. But as for me, I'm going to have to be out. Peace.